One of the great questions that I like to ask myself and is out there in the field is, what is it that I'm unwilling to feel? And I find if I ask that, it kind of shines a light on what I've been unconsciously pulling away from. It's much like, what's really happening? And then the follow-up inquiry is then, can I be with this? And I use the word yes a lot just because it's that willingness to let what's here be here, to acknowledge reality and open to it. So that's a lot of the theme that you'll hear here is that we notice what's happening, then the attitude, and can the attitude be one of willingness? So I want to offer a caveat to that, which is that it's not always the wisest and most compassionate thing to say yes to what's here. And just to put that out there, because I've had a number of questions about, well, what about if there's a lot of trauma going on in my system? If there's trauma, do we say, okay, what am I unwilling to feel? Well, I don't want to feel that trauma. All right, can I say yes to it? That might not be such a wise idea, because it's possible if we really try to dive into something that we could get flooded and overwhelmed and really not have the resourcefulness or balance or perspective to actually allow it to be an experience that helps to wake us up. Rather, we can just get re-traumatized, rerunning the same groove of helplessness and overwhelm. Does that make sense? That it's not always wise? So then the question is, well, what then? I just want to put out just a few pointers, and this is something to, again, it's an experiment that we each have to be playing with. For some of us, rather than that direct contact in the body with where the fear is living, it can be much more helpful to have the main emphasis of our practice be something like the loving-kindness practice, where we're using the phrases of loving-kindness to quiet the mind and also to help the body's defenses and armoring begin to soften and relax. It actually shifts the nervous system. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system. It creates more sense of safety. And so after a certain amount of metta, it then becomes possible to begin to dip into where we feel a lot of fear and still have enough of that background resource of safety so that there's a possibility of being with but not being overwhelmed. It's like the metaphor, if you put some dye in a sink, you know what happens, but if you put that same dye in a lake, there's plenty of space for it. Well, loving-kindness practice helps to create more space for what's here. In a similar way, there's other anchors you can use, like listening, that helps to remind us of space. Or if there's trauma, instead of going to where it is in the body, you can open your eyes, see what's around you, and just name other experiences to help anchor you in the world around you. Or you can spend time grounding, which is really, really helpful, which is just in a very simple way, and you can feel it right now. Just feel yourself sitting on earth. Feel gravity. Feel the weight. So you can feel the pressure and contact where your bottom is on the chair or cushion, where your feet or legs are contacting the floor and the ground. And just feel the stability that the earth is supporting you. Most basically, what I'm pointing to is that sometimes we need to spend some time contacting our resources before we directly dive in to where a strong emotion lives that we might not feel we have the resilience for. So take your time and feel free to resource yourself, to bring to mind the people that perhaps bring up feelings of safety and love, or the places that do that. Whatever helps you to feel more at ease, so that you can dip in a little to what's difficult and then come back out and look around again and feel your breath or whatever else helps you. Go back in a little, come back until you develop more and more capacity to tolerate what's there. So that's a totally oversimplified synopsis, and there's a lot out there on working with trauma, but I just wanted to put something out there because it's not just a few of us. Many of us have trauma in our nervous systems, or else if not trauma, intense fear that we're not always ready to just say yes to.